Okay, Powerheads, welcome back. It's the 41st episode of the original Power After Show, the PowerWatch. And just to let you know, we're coming from a special location. This is Jason Voorhees' house. He let us have the place just for the weekend. So I hope you enjoy the ambiance. Moving forward. Man, it's getting hot and there's just more and more information being packed into every show. So let's get it started off with the dream sequence. Oops, maybe I shouldn't have said that already. Let the cat out of the bag, but you had to know it was a dream sequence because you got Tariq celebrating his 18th birthday with Tasha. Then we get a surprise guest, and who shows up?
Raina.
So, I mean, it's like, there's definitely no parts of reality here. Rod Serling, QM, we shoot forward, and we got Tamika, and Tamika seems to be having a revolving door at her house. So the first visit is by Sax.
Yeah, Sax showed up. I mean, as we're gonna see going forward, pretty much no one except for Davis wants her to take the stand. It's bad for everybody's business.
Yep, and he tries to convince her, and she's like, there's no way, and, you know, I have to say what I have to say. I can't be, you know, let out of this because I have to do what I have to do. So he's trying to convince her, but, you know, of course, there's no dice with that. And they have a little talk, but that's pretty much it. She figures she has to go on with it. Now we switch over to Monet, and Monet's giving lessons again. And like I say, Mary J is really growing into this character. She's coming along with it, and she's schooling Diana about men. And she really wants her to manipulate Tariq because Tariq, no one's able to find out any information on him. We got Drew, and Drew is busy running around, you know, getting involved in one affair in particular. And that's not what when they send him to the yard for. So we got that, and Kane, you know, there's too much friction right there. He's not gonna tell Kane anything about his organization. So now Monet is relying on Diana. And she's actually telling her, this is how you manipulate men. A man is not even interested in you. He's interested in what he sees reflected in your eyes about him. Sage advice?
I mean, I think, you know, there's a little bit of truth to that, but I also think that the issue is that I think that Diana actually really likes Tariq. As we're going to see later in the episode, you know, she definitely felt some type of way when he walked off. Those are genuine emotions. Those are not, you know, minute feelings.
Yeah, one interesting tidbit about that particular exchange is that Diana kind of stepped to Monet a little bit, and she said, well, it doesn't look like you're controlling him. And that's when Ramirez walks up. So Ramirez walks up, and Monet says, oh, really? Watch this. And another thing that I do like about Monet and Mary J's performance is she's bringing some old school into it that I'm pretty sure she's writing into the script, because she's coming up with the colloquialisms from back in the day, the slang. I'm loving it. You know, last time we had beat the brakes off you, and this time she hit him with, you didn't come here but nothing but heart and bubble gum. So in other words, nothing. And she just runs Ramirez ragged. So what's her purpose in doing all that?
I think that was more so just to show Diana, you know, that she's willing to live by what she just preached to her. So I think it was a show. The next time they're together, I think she'll apologize, to be blatantly honest with you. I don't think that that's somebody she's willing to be long term. So, you know, she's definitely gonna walk that statement back. You know, 2020, the year of everybody walking everything back. So.
All right, Monet gets her chance to question Tariq about the sketch. And that sketch is sketchy as far as what Drew was sent to the college for. So she's trying to pump him for information. And she kind of tells him, she kind of implies like, well, what's going on here? We really don't know what's going on here. You know, so it sounds like a little bit more manipulation. What do you think?
I'm gonna tell you this. Tariq's not the type of individual who's gonna tell everything that he knows. So if she, you know, is willing, if she's capable of finding out that information, cool. But Tariq's not going to be the one to share it.
Then we got Tariq, again, Sax is going everywhere. So Sax has his own revolving door. He's trying to smash up everybody. And he goes up and he pulls up on Tariq. And he tells him, well, you know, I told Tamika, you know, about you seeing me and everything like that. And which is not really all that true, because as you find out later with the conversation with Tamika, Tamika knew some of that, but she didn't know who saw Sax. So he's trying to manipulate once again. This dude is becoming a pile, and a little bit further in the episode, we'll talk about what kind of pile he's becoming. But he's always been that way, but it just gets pretty horrible in this episode, in my opinion.
Sax is caught in between a rock and a hard place, if we're being honest. He's in a tough spot. He's trying to prosecute somebody that he knows is innocent of the charges that he had to bring against him. Not to mention the fact that he was there that night. He was at the scene, drunk with a gun. I mean, what if he had gotten the ghost first? You know, if he was 5 minutes faster, who knows?
There you go. So, you know, dirt once again. Tariq gets in contact with Tasha. He's all panicked, and he tells her, you know, look, I went ahead and told Sax already that I saw him. And she's like, what? Why did you do that? And then he says that, okay, I was trying to pressure him into trying to help us out, which he tried to do just to save his own skin, of course. And then so she gets mad at him, and she goes, "Oh, you're just like Ghost."
I think that's about the worst thing you could say to Tariq. You know, he's gonna hate that more than anything. She knows what buttons to push. That was definitely something that was planned. So, you know, she knew what button to push, and it got him to do what he needed to do. We're going to see later on, though, that it's not quite going to work out the way he thought it was.
No, not quite. Now we back to the comic relief. Riley, or Hot Topic as we referred to her last week. Her little pink dude is just doing too much. She's over the top. And she lets a little bit go at a time, so she's really driving Sax through the roof. I mean, first she kind of implies that she's screwing Tariq, and we all know that's not going down, especially after the stray hand stiff arm she got before she started settling on Braden. You know, she lets him know that, you know, I've got all this information, and, you know, he's getting pissed at her, but he's like, you know, still go ahead and collect information. Just stop being so intrusive with it, because you're going to get me arrested.
You know, she's doing a lot. She definitely led Sax down the road to think that she was sleeping with Tariq for sure. For about 30 seconds, I thought that that's what she was getting ready to say. But we kind of all knew that wasn't going to be the case. Her character is an interesting one, and I look forward to kind of seeing how that whole thing is going to play out, because as we know with Power, there's no way that this isn't going to come out.
So then we shoot forward to the classroom scene, and surprise, Tariq walks in late. So Jabari's had enough of it, and he's roasting, and he tells him, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, then you're forgotten. So that's an old quote. I think I might be able to attribute that to Vince Lombardi. As we will find out a little bit later, Jabari tweaks it just a little bit. So moving forward from there, you know, he roasts him and whatnot, and then Tariq is on to his next move. Now, I don't know anybody else who gets this much done in 24 hours, I swear to God. But basically, he shoots forward, he meets Drew. So Drew says, Monet is testing you. Monet is trying to figure out where your alliances lead. And we're talking about to the family or to yourself or whatever. And she's understanding now that you're willing to protect me. And so now she's starting to think of you as family. And that could be a blessing or a curse. And no truer words have ever been said in this particular series, huh?
For sure. Tariq's never been a snitch per se. And so, like I said earlier, Tariq's not going to tell everything that he knows, and Tariq's going to do what Tariq has to do. And he's not going to say everything that, you know, he's seen. Go figure it out. Go ask Zeke. Maybe he knows it.
Definitely deflected with that one.
Oh, for sure. Because he also knew that Monet wasn't gonna go ask Zeke. So he knew that was a great way to get the monkey off his back per se.
Definitely, because anything involving the whole drug trade, she's just trying to insulate him, let him be the successful dude, helps the family out, in every way he can, but just achieve his success in the name of the family out there in the real world, but keep everything else on the low. We may find out later on, because, we've all kind of confessed that we really think Zeke is pretty much an idiot. But at the same time, I think he has to be an idiot if he doesn't really realize what's going on with Monet.
He's either an idiot or he's willfully ignoring everything that's going on right now. I think it's more so on the lines of he's an idiot. I don't think he's that intellectual. The reason why Monet wants him to be so insulated from this is because if he makes it to the NBA, they have a very easy way to now start washing money. because he's making a lot of money on stuff. And it's easy to start covering up some of this other money when the number's a lot larger coming in on the legitimate side.
Oh, so you're saying that maybe she's ghosting it to a certain extent as far as, maybe getting some money laundering going on as a possibility?
Of course. I mean, you got to clean the money somehow. You can't sit up there forever and have an illegal drug trade and never figure out a way to clean that money. I mean, Ghost did. It's the only reason why Ghost owned that nightclub. It's clean the money.
No, he also wanted to do something and get out too, though.
I mean, it was both of them. I mean, come on, we know he was running money through there too. One of the, right in the beginning of Power, the original Power, he used the loading dock of Truth to do some damage. So, trust me, he was using that place to run money.
So now we cracked the facade of Jabari a little bit, and Jabari's facade gets cracked a lot during this episode. Next thing you know, he's meeting with his agent, and this dude has, the pretty good beard. I mean, I guess his hot comb blowout or whatever it is, but he's going ahead and he's like, well, now I got white boy clientele. And so, you gotta be twice as good, Jackie Robinson. And I was like, damn, where's this dude coming from? And he was like, he acted like they were boys back in the day, and he just like harsh.
I meant to say this earlier too, about how hard Jabari has been coming at Tariq. I think a lot of his anger and sheer, aggression towards Tariq lies in the fact that the woman he sleeps with or has sex with in his office, he feels like she cares so much about Tariq, and he hates that. It's just sex between the two of them. But he sees a genuine care in her eyes for Tariq.
He's getting the pressure now. He's like, your first book was good, and then that really eats away at him, because it was good because he put all of VWAT's whole history up in that joint, and that's what made it exciting. So it's like, well, what are you gonna do now? And now he can't really go into that realm.
Yeah, no, he can't, and I don't see his next book being successful. I don't foresee them portraying Jabari's character as an extremely successful writer going forward. I don't think that's in the cards for him. I think there's a lot of other storylines for him. Him becoming a successful writer is not something that really helps his character at all. I think his next book is going to be just as trash as his other one.
Trash fest.
Next thing you know, we shoot forward, and after he's got his face cracked by his agent, he's leaving there, and Tariq approaches him. So he looks at him like, man, I am not in the mood. But he kind of surprises Tariq, doesn't he?
I liked that interaction. It was a different type of interaction between the two of them. Normally, I think that you're looking at two men, two alpha males having a proverbial dick measuring contest every time Tariq walks into the classroom. They're trying to show each other up. I think that's why Tariq walked up to him at the end of that class session. But I like this interaction because it wasn't that way. It was actually a positive interaction between the two of them.
No doubt. And he definitely flipped the whole script on him. I mean, you could tell he won him over in that one little episode. He had kind of got him a little bit before, he knew about VWAT's whole deal with him as far as all this attention. He kind of like sparked him a little bit in the beginning, but then of course that got all ruined because of the jealousy. But then he actually seemed to have won him over at that point. You could kind of see it in his eyes, couldn't you?
Yeah, you definitely could. Like I said, it was great to see them kind of get off on a positive note. I think that's something to look forward to, seeing where that goes, especially with what we're going to see later on in the episode. Tariq isn't the one he needs to be worried about.
Okay, so now we're back to Flash Pass. You know who that is, right?
Flash Pass.
Tamika. So now it's Tariq's turn, because he gets another panicky conversation with Mom, and he's like, I'm gonna stand up, and Mom is like, you go be 18, knuckle. And so he rolls from there, and he rolls over to Tamika's house, and he tries to convince her, I gotta say that Tommy pulled the trigger and all this other crap. And one thing I didn't tell you is I actually saw Sax. And at this point in time, we kind of figure out that Sax didn't really tell Tamika the whole story about being seen, did he?
He definitely did not. Sax has been compartmentalizing the story and telling only the relevant parts that he thinks you need to know about the story. The problem is that too many people know, the whole truth. And it's starting to come out. But, I don't think Tariq's plan to get Tamika to not testify is something that could even work. It's not going to work. And, like I said, we're going to see later on in the episode that her testimony is not even going to matter.
Could be, quite possibly. So McLean Davis shows up out of nowhere. So he's got a flash pass too. Right,
yeah.
So he shows up and damn near kicks in the door. It's like, okay, is this forcible entry? What's going on here? And he looks for Sax and he yells out, Sax, are you here? And of course, Sax, if Sax was there, he wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm here. So he's like, okay, he's not here. It's like, damn, dude, good search.
And it was actually Tariq the entire time, not Sax, which is the funny part about it.
It was hilarious. So he snuck out the back. So he didn't think anybody else was there. And then Tamika's like, we need to have a talk. Now, we all know we didn't get the full story on what that talk is about. So we're going to go forward with that in a couple scene that's coming up in a couple seconds, but let's shoot forward to the party. All right, so prepping for the party, your boy Braden, your favorite character, because you know how much he loves Tariq. I think he actually has feelings for Tariq as far as being a friend or whatever, and it kind of comes out later, but at this point, I definitely understand where you're coming from with it, about not trusting him though, for sure. But he's getting a whole rack of Hennessy, and he comes up with this whole drink mix, which I hope nobody's actually doing, about the Hennessy and the Hypnotic.
Incredible Hulks? Oh, come on, man. I'm not, look, the Incredible Hulk was a drink that everybody was drinking for a long time. I mean, when I was in college, I may or may not have been of drinking age. We were drinking Incredible Hulks, honestly. Absolutely disgusting drink. But when you mix the Hennessy with the Hypnotic, it does turn green.
Wow.
Don't drink it, though. You will wake up the next day with a super hangover.
Okay, so let's compare this. Let's go ahead with lethality. Let's compare this to perhaps Cisco. Stronger than Cisco? We good at Cisco.
I'm going to go, it's stronger because it's only alcohol. Think about it. I mean, Hypnotic is a liqueur, and it's mixed with the Hennessy, and those are the only two ingredients. It turns green, they put it over ice, and call it a day.
Cisco just has red or blue. That's it. It's just flavoring, bro. That's a high octane.
It's all liquor. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, both are strong. But yeah, the Incredible Hulks, we definitely drank those at an unnamed college that I went to.
Okay, so then what happens is Zeke pops up, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll come to the party. And, he has to actually pull Riley away from walking up on Zeke. And Zeke is definitely putting it out there for her. Okay, Riley, where do your allegiances lie?
Yeah, first of all, it's very well known. Zeke is extremely indiscriminate about, who he has sex with and who he sleeps with. So Zeke shoots his shot at everybody. If he was in the NBA, he'd be the leading shot taker in NBA history because he doesn't care.
And sometimes you hit all air.
And sometimes you hit your professor.
Oh, okay. So let's move forward to that. That's a nice little segue. So, I mean, we already know. I mean, because, you might look at this situation and say, I mean, if you just totally ignored the whole thing about Riley and the cheerleader, probably in like episode 1, you might say, the spiel he gives to VWAT, Professor Milburn, might actually be legit. But he's a little bit more, I don't know, you might disagree with that, a little bit more intelligent than we gave him credit for, because he knows exactly what VWAT is looking for. She's looking for somebody who's breaking the norm, who's not the typical, what she considers to be an athlete.
She has a sex addiction, so I don't think she really cares where she places her thing on a nightly basis either.
She's just looking for an excuse.
Yeah, her excuse was, she had a couple drinks, whatever excuse she needs to come up with. She's one of those type people that she might never sleep with Zeke again. It was just something she did for fun in her mind.
All right, so shooting forward, we're at the party. Your girl, she's 2007 with it, and I know you're like, don't throw 007 into this. But she's trying to be 2007 with it, and she's just doing too much, and she ends up, first of all, Reek is just like, not happy with the whole situation. And then Trace spills drink, which is Braden's brother, spills drink all over him and whatnot, actually trying to help him celebrate, but he's a fucking drunk and high fool, and he's just meandering around the whole house, stumbling. And Lauren shows up, and Braden, to his credit, tiptoes over to Tariq, but by now he's talking to Diana, and so he's warning him about Lauren being there, but guess what? Dude, what about Diana? She's right.
Can we also talk about the fact that that definitely was not a surprise party for Tariq? That was literally just another frat party that they threw, and it just happened to be on Tariq's birthday. They would have thrown that party regardless. There was nothing special about it. I digress. Lauren showing up definitely caused some friction that I think we're going to see down the line, because I think because Diana does care for Tariq a lot, I think what you're going to see is that particular situation is going to hinder their, relationship going forward.
Then your girl Riley, she wiles out. She drugging Tariq. When we get news of that, I'm like, what is going on? And she uses that to get information and lock him on the GPS and thinking that she's going to get a cookie from Sax. And Sax is all mad, but he uses that, and that's where he becomes the biggest pile of I've ever seen watching anything on Stars. Because she warns him, she says, I feel so bad. I gave him Ambien and whatnot. He's running around in the street. And what does Sax do? Of course, he rushes to his aid in order to save Tariq and prevent him from getting into further trouble, right?
Absolutely not, because that wouldn't be Sax.
No.
Sax videotapes him confessing to killing his dad while he's drugged out of his mind.
But what makes it worse is that he videotapes this right after the heartfelt speech to Raina, his twin, whose birthday is on the same day, and this is his birthday.
Yeah, it was. But have we ever thought that Sax's moral compass pointed north?
I thought he was. I thought he was dirt, man. But this is.
I've always thought he was dirt.
I thought he was dirt, but this is lowest of the low. This is the lowest thing I've seen in the series.
Well, Sax is wanting to do whatever it takes to clear his own name and not go to jail.
Okay, so we have an ish pile of the week. Does Sax win?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so now we've established the ish pile of the week. Congratulations, Sax. You are the ish pile of the week. More action. This party is just crazy, off the hook, crazy stuff. He finally gets Lauren alone in the room, but by then the ambient is starting to creep in. He's a drunk mess, just ruins everything for that. She thinks he's a drunk mess, but he's not. He's drugged. And then he's actually trying to stay as sober as possible to keep on his game.
I don't think she's going to hold that against him, but I definitely think that that's going to, come back to bite him a little bit in the butt as far as his situation with Lauren, especially because his situation with Lauren could have potentially just ruined his situation with Diana as well. So him getting drugged could potentially screw him going forward in all of his,
endeavors. But then Diana lifts his gun, so then we got to go back to the house again. And this to me is, we already had the ish pile of the week, but this is the most shocking scene I've ever seen Tariq involved in, where Monet goes, I can't seem to trust any of my children. Who can I trust? Which family member can I trust? And what does Tariq say? With the killer right next to him.
Me.
What?
Also, let me tell you something right now. As a gun owner myself, I know where all of my guns are at all times. So, responsible gun owner 101. But I know where all my guns are at all times. The fact that Tariq either hasn't realized that his gun was lifted or isn't willing to talk about it is an issue. And I think that that's why, Monet told Kane, give him your burner. And the reason why is because Kane doesn't know that she has Tariq's burner. It's like, Kane, you're gonna get a gun right back. It's just gonna be Tariq's gun.
But that's his favorite burner, man. And she's like, happy birthday, welcome to the family. Manipulation. She's like, Diana, are you paying attention? Are you taking notes? That's incredibly nuts. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to B for this one.
So in the next scene with Jabari, I noticed that he was plagiarizing and using all of Tariq's essays and writings in order to plagiarize and to write his next book. So it just seems that the guy he's preoccupied with the wrong things. And I'm not sure what it is. But I think his next book is going to be very interesting because it's probably going to be all about Tariq's life and personal life and family experience, and he's going to make it his own. And that's going to be very interesting.
Moving forward, we got the aftermath of the party. Tariq is still coming down off the Ambien and whatnot. He runs up on Braden, and Braden gives him what for. He's like up in his grill, you owe me an apology, man. And it's like, he explained all the reasons why. He's like, you're always keeping me on the outside, you know, you're not letting me in and all this other stuff. He's like, I'm trying to protect you. He's like, man, I need to be able to protect myself. Do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea for him to lay it out like that?
I think it's a terrible idea that he just told all that to Braden. I've never trusted Braden. And I think that when it goes down, I think Braden's gonna be the first person to run his mouth. So I think it's gonna come back to bite him in the butt a little bit.
I mean, he did put the brakes on Riley, but guess what? They haven't even smashed yet. So you know what's about to happen, right?
He put the brakes on Riley because I don't think it was because of the questions about Tariq, but I don't think he's comfortable in his situation because she does have such a wandering eye.
I think that's part of it, but I think he's actually trying to do the right thing. But really, once he smashes, because if you can kind of tell looking at Braden, just from the way he's acting and all that, it's been a minute. And it's going to be some Monet theory stuff going on there as far as when he smashes. I mean, he's going to be at Hot Topic every day, you know, buying the latest shirt, you know what I mean? And then he might just blab up.
Well, I think what's going to happen, though, too, is that I think he's going to start spending a ton of money on her and spending a ton of money around her. And it's going to, you know, be cause for concern as far as who her alliances are to. Right now, you know, they're thinking that Tariq is working by himself. She doesn't realize she's sitting right down next to his partner in crime, literally and figuratively.
So he gives him a breakdown. I mean, he says family in Queens. And then it seems like he's going to cut it short at that, but then he gives the literal breakdown. He's like, okay, let's go to the chessboard. And we got the queen, Monet, and we got the king, Lorenzo, and we got the rook, which is Kane, and we have the knight, which is Drew, and we have the bishop, who is Diana. So he breaks it down to him, but then he says something that I'm like, maybe you can interpret this one for me, because there's a lot of ways this can go. And he's saying, if any of them come looking for me and I'm nowhere to be found, then you knock over one of them or all of them.
If somebody comes looking for him and he wasn't around, because obviously he's saying you never tell them where I am. When he gets back to the room, if he gets there and he sees on the chessboard that's there that one or a few or all of those pieces have been knocked down, that means that those people came looking for him. So now he knows that if all four of those pieces are knocked down, he knows the entire family's looking for him. He knows he's got to get the hell out of Dodge.
So that's a form of communication. He's going to use the chessboard to communicate with Braden.
Yeah, because if you walk into a room or an apartment, you're going to miss, you know, the normal person's going to miss that
subtlety.
So yeah, that level of subtlety. That's their way of communicating when they're not around each other.
So here we go. It's time for the master plan. Your boy McLean Davis, he rolls up on Sax and he says, hey, I know about you. And then Sax whips out the recording and McLean Davis doesn't even sweat or stutter or anything. He's just like, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get my client off and then I'm going to put Tariq on the stand and you do what you do in cross-examination. So it seems like he's hanging him out to dry. But I really think that given the amount of trouble that he's probably caused McLean Davis in the past and the amount of trouble he's caused McLean Davis with this particular case and the fact that stacks of cash are being put in his lap by Tariq, I think he feels maybe a little bit of loyalty to him. Plus, we don't know what was said behind closed doors with Tamika.
If I have to guess how this is going to play out, I think it's going to play out one of two ways. Either Davis or Sax is working with Tariq and it's gonna backfire on one of the two of them. I think, if Davis is working with Tariq, then what's gonna happen is when he puts Tariq on the stand, Tariq is gonna say, well, I saw you leaving Truth, and then I walked into Truth and saw my dad laying on the ground dead. If he's working with Saxe, I mean, I don't know what the play there is, but maybe it's to save Saxe butt a little bit. My money would be on Tariq working with Davis on this to end up getting both of them off. Davis is it was way too easy for him to say, that's not my client. I don't care.
And he actually showed, when he talked to Tasha the first time, he actually showed some admiration for Tariq. So I personally, I think this is the end of Saxe. Not in the next episode necessarily, but I think he is about to be done, bro.
Saxe is like a cat with 9 lives.
Yeah, but I think he's on 8 right now, and I think he's got 1 more to go. Hey, we lost Rotimi. We lost a bunch of other cats. We lost Ghost. So we can definitely get Saxe out of there. Most hated characters eventually gonna die.
And he's number one.
Either that or they're gonna keep him around because it's great for the show.
But believe me, somebody's gonna step up and do dirty. Because they also want to kind of establish their own identity as a show. And this is kind of like one of the very few links to the previous show that is not really an essential character. So that being said, man, it was a great show. Appreciate you, E, as always. Shout out to Dylan, our editor. And shout out to our mixologist, B Limits. See you next time.
Good afternoon, Powerheads. I hope you enjoy the show. So tonight we're going to do a wonderful, wonderful drink for you. And this one's going to include one of my favorite gins. It's called Malfi Gin. And it's just very smooth, very delicious. And then we're going to have the vermouth. It's my favorite vermouth. And the name of it is Dolan. And then this one is the raspberry flavored liqueur, which is the Chambord. This drink we're going to call the Jabari. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be mixing the gin first. And this particular gin is not too sweet. So that's why I'm using the Chambord to give it that sweetness to it. So it'll be 2 ounces, the Amalfi gin. And then we're going to top it off with some vermouth, and it'll be 2 to 1, so 1 ounce of vermouth to give it that nice spicy flavor to it. And so there it is. So this particular drink is going to add that sweetness to it. So you don't want to use too much, maybe half an ounce. You want to shake it with a Boston shaker, and this is what I call Boston shaker. It's a little bit different than the regular shakers that you're used to seeing. And this one, it's a little bit harder to shake. You want to make sure that the top is really firm. And so now that you shake everything, right? So you want to open it up and you want to strain it into your favorite glass. And there you are. A beautiful, tasty raspberry light drink. Salud.
Salud.
Enjoy.
Here we go, Powerheads. Time for the question and answer session. We're here filming direct from the island of Dr. Moreau. So we got to kind of get this in before some creatures start to get at us. So first up we have Cam, and his question is,
Hey, what's up, PowerWatch? My question today is, Courtney Kemp said there's going to be a big death that's going to happen. So you know it's going to be out of the big 3 of Tyreek, Tasha, or Cooper Saxe. My guess is going to be Tasha, but what do you guys think?
that's the damn good question, Cam, because that's one of the big 3. So my guess is, and my guess has always been the last 2-3 weeks, Saxe has got to go. The most hated and the most beloved get capped. And Ghost was the most beloved, he's capped. And he was the star of the show. So they are not holding back anything. They're taking no prisoners. They're willing to eliminate anybody, no matter what kind of flavor they bring to the show, what kind of popularity. So Saxe is the guy you love to hate. But guess what? So was Dre. And Dre had to go. And now Saxe has to go. He is too much of a thorn in everyone's side, and he's getting way too many chances. I mean, the judge let some things slide that she shouldn't have let slide, Judge Larkin, and it's just, he's running out of opportunities. And it's really gonna look like, in my opinion, that he is just out to frame this whole St. Patrick crew once again. And it's just gonna ruin him. And you know what's gonna happen when it starts to look a little shady. Otts from the Democratic Party and John Mott, they're gonna leave him twisted in the wind like they never even knew him, because that's the way it is. So, moving on. Up next we have Brian from the DMV. And Brian's question or statement is,
yo, it's your boy Brian again, Powerhead #1. So we all know Trace is a loose cannon. So now that he found Tariq's stash, what's he gonna do next?
that is something we glossed over in the show, and it's hugely important. This is gonna be ridiculous, and it's gonna go one of several ways. One, the possibility that Trace is gonna be like, I was just trying to teach you a lesson, bro. And he's just going to give him back the drugs and let bygones be bygones, and everything is one big happy family again. And that's not going to happen. All right, so we already know that. So let's look at the other possibilities. The other possibility is Tariq finds out what happened and kills him. Now, that's not going to happen either, because Braden, he actually let Braden into the inner circle. He can't afford to make Braden that big of an enemy where he kills one of his own. So what's up next? What's the only option, in my opinion? Braden has to step up. He has to shut down his brother. And he's going to have to get physical with him. He's going to have to intimidate him. And he's going to have to show him who the big brother is now. And by doing that, he's going to earn Tariq's trust. And he's going to go ahead and eliminate Trace as being a problem, which is going to be very difficult to do because Trace is addicted to everything. And he's going to do things short of taking his own brother's life, but he's going to get it done. So that's the end of the question and answer series for today. Loving to see you guys once again. And, you know, normally we say we see you after the hiatus, but I think we're going to have a special Halloween edition of the Power Watch for you. So be looking out for that. Coming soon to a theater near you. 1.
So what we're going to call the drink is the
That's a good time for cut.
So it's like, okay, Riley, where do your allegiances lie? Well, let's cut the hell out of that. Okay, Riley, where do you cut again?
She has a sex addiction. I don't really think that she's extremely I don't think she's pretty any we're gonna cut that real quick. All right.
Shout out to B. Lemus, our drink mistress. Well, let's rephrase that. Cut. Or, hold on a second. I said drink mistress. I'm sorry. Let's rephrase that.
God.
Okay, let's not do that. Bye. Yeah, you go. And shout out to our mixologist, B. Lemus.
Bye. See you next time.
Okay, that's good. Cut.